Welcome back. Joining us on the show now is Stefan Rust. He is CEO at Laguna Labs. Stefan, hi, morning. And what a week this one has been when you look at the global crypto markets. Just when everybody thought that the crypto winter was getting over, you have the biggest crypto slump in this year happening. What is your sense with FTX and what is happening, and how soon and what kind of regulations globally are you expecting now?
Yeah, thank you, Manisha. Thank you for having me on. Look, it's been a really tough week, a tough 3-4 days, but I think this has been building for a couple of weeks with a couple of issues that happened in the marketplace. And I think FTX, which is one of the biggest exchanges, just filing for bankruptcy pretty much, right? I mean, Alameda Research is shut down. FTX itself is illiquid. So I think there's a big difference that we're experiencing right now: illiquid markets, and then basically insolvency. What are we confronted with? I think we don't know. There's a myriad of companies that are set up under the FTX group. How do we manage that? How do we navigate that? He's gone out and apologized, but I think for the crypto markets, it's a big backlash. I mean, a lot of people were trading, a lot of institutions were trading using FTX. They raised a lot of money in equity. So we'll see how much of the equity was used, how much of the customer funds potentially were used. We still don't know. The fallout is so big, and there's going to be a lot of repercussions throughout the thing. But
yeah, Stefan, since then, in the last 24 hours, we've seen 9 to 10 global exchanges actually come out and announce that they will be publishing now the proof of funds or proof of reserves. How will that help? Yes.
So that'll be really helpful, right? I mean, on the one hand, it's really good. We see what the collateral is, where those collaterals reside, which wallet addresses they are, and what's the full extent of that. I think what we also then need to do is see proof of liabilities, because in the end, what are the liabilities associated with the counter assets that are having? In a DeFi world, if they were fully decentralized, you'd have all of that there. We work with, and Chainlink Labs, a big partner of ours, they have an on-chain proof of reserve, independent, verifiable, real-time. You can see that at any point in time what the reserves are of any lending protocol, particularly if it's cross-chain. That's when it matters.
Clearly. Stefan, also, there have been a lot of regulatory statements, if not actions, that have been announced or being spoken about from US to even Japan and Bahamas for that matter. Do you think this would in some sense trigger more compliance, more additions, more regulations if the world were to look at it?
In a centralized world, and all of these entities that have come down in the last this year particularly, they've all been centralized entities. These have been, to a certain extent, regulated. They have had regulated or licensed individuals working there. They have had compliance officers. They have followed pretty much the rule as set forth by a lot of these regulators. And I think, they will have a deeper look into how they are managed. We've had much bigger crashes in centralized traditional finance and regulated industries, to the extent where governments have had to come and print trillions of dollars to help bail them out. In this case, in crypto land, there's no bailout. Nobody comes. It's another private entity that may come and try and look and evaluate a rescue plan. But in this case, it hasn't happened. In a DeFi world, it is already much more transparent than you get in a centralized or traditional finance world. So the DeFi, the decentralized world, I think, we should have more oversight in terms of auditing capability, checking the blockchain explorers, looking at the transactions that take place, identifying the addresses that funds move to. But I don't think we need more regulation in the decentralized world. However, in the centralized world, I don't know what to do with there. I think it's very complex, and it's very hard to navigate. I think people just get lured by the vast amounts of money that are there, and as a result, they become maybe Yeah.
Oh, yes. Stephen, the whole, idea of perhaps decentralization and crypto and blockchain was to ensure that there was more transparency, that you could perhaps get away from all of these things. And this is exactly what we have seen happen. I also want to come to the point about the kind of sell-off that we have seen in cryptocurrencies. Solana, for an example, I mean, that was a very strong one. That also has seen a very sharp decline. Where do you see light at the end of the tunnel now?
So I was at the Solana breakpoint in Portugal, where just last weekend, over the weekend, by the way, people were building. There were developers, there were business developers, there were software developers, all kinds of developers trying to grow the ecosystem. And that ecosystem was really strong. There were some 10, 15,000 people that flew from around the world to go to the Solana breakpoint and identify new business opportunities, build commercial relationships. And that was, to me, a very good sign that Solana is still a strong platform, has a very strong proposition. It's just unfortunate that a lot of the token holders in Solana were using the Solana tokens as collateral and had to offload those to readjust their, sort of funding requirements or their customers' funds to be able to allow them to withdraw. And that was FTX and Alameda was one of the biggest backers of Solana. Solana, I think, is going to be here to stay. I think other crypto assets that have developer communities that are providing valuable propositions are going to be here to stay. And it's your keys, your coins. And I think that's what we're going to be looking for going forward.
All right, tough time, and what a whole week can really do, a complete change in what we've seen in the international markets. But Stephen, thank you so much for joining us and making it easier, breaking it down for our viewers here. With that, that's all the time that we have on Halftime Report. Stay tuned for Business Lunch coming up next.